Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review Talk to Me.
This is a horror movie about a group of teenagers that come into possession of an embalmed hand, and when they grab it and ask the spirit to come into them, they're possessed until they blow out a candle and let go of the hand. It's safe to do it, apparently, for about 90 seconds, but if you go over that, there's some trouble. Maybe or maybe not someone goes over that time limit. This kind of feels like a mainstream horror film in many ways, but I would say it is one of the better ones that will probably come out this year. It is really creepy, and it's very easy to recommend to anybody. It's a good sleepover movie if you enjoy sleeping over at people's houses.
I'm kind of unsure how scary I found it. I definitely found it to be creeping and sometimes disturbing, and the movie will make things happen to characters that you don't want to see. It is not trying to make you comfortable. Disturbing things happen to people in the movie that are hard to watch.
I think that's fine to say that.
And yeah, scary. You can say that's scary. I would personally say that I was more freaked out in parts than I was scared. The movie does a great job building high emotional stakes, and it really crafts strong relationships between these characters. Our main character has shaky family history and spends almost all of her time at her friend's house, who she feels like, these people are kind of her family, especially the little brother there. And that relationship was very strong, I thought. But although they do take a lot of time to craft some of these relationships and build a bit of a backstory with her, I did feel that ultimately the movie felt surface level to me. The emotional stakes were good for the thrills of the movie and me being invested, but it wasn't a movie that I would describe as having some more depth to it.
Yeah, I would agree that it's not a deep movie. It didn't really have a big takeaway from it, but it gives you those really disturbing thrills that you're probably looking for, and it does them really effectively. I think a huge part of producing those thrills is the makeup here. There's some really disturbing effects going on, and I'm pretty sure it was all just done with the way the actors performed and with their makeup. This film definitely gave me a lot of anxiety watching these teenagers carelessly use this ridiculous tool that gives them access to a spirit realm. It kind of distanced me from all of the characters, given that none of them were taking it seriously. Nobody seemed concerned by the implications here or what could possibly go wrong. Everybody was sort of participating in something that made them all very stupid to me. And I don't know if it's I forget what it was like to be a teenager, or if the movie just needs its characters to go along with this thing. But it did create a little bit of distance for me between the characters, and usually they have at least one who you feel is smart enough that you're willing to go along with them in the story and you kind of trust them. And that's not really the case here. And some of the decisions that the characters make along the way to get themselves out of trouble feel okay, I guess that would work, maybe, but it also seems just as haphazard as what got you into this situation in the first place, even when we're supposed to believe that those solutions might work or seem logical. But I would say these are all more on the nitpick side, because overall this movie is just trying to be creepy as fuck, and it really does do a good job at that. And it has something I really like that horror films do, which is it does involve a descent into madness and into not knowing what is real and what is false. And that is definitely one of my favorite things that horror can do. Except I don't think it does it in the most meaningful way. For me, the most meaningful way you could do something like that is where the audience has no idea by the end what was real or false. It doesn't hit that level of abstraction, which is fine because this is more, again, of a mainstream horror film, I would say.
Very strong lead performance in here from Sophie Wilde. And generally, I thought the movie was very well shot. I was pretty hooked the whole time. It never lost my attention, and it went in enough different directions to justify every minute of the runtime. There was one thread, though, that I thought was sort of unnecessary to explore, and at the same time, didn't seem to have a payoff. A little bit of a messy, sort of romantic situation. I just didn't feel like it was necessary. It did take a lot of time to establish this character's central fear, and there's even a moment where she's oh, this is the reason that I like feeling possessed, and I feel those things didn't really turn into anything that I found really interesting, but at the same time, I am glad that the movie did give me a well-rounded character.
One thing I really wanted to know more of was, why do some of the characters enjoy this game that they're playing? It was really unclear to me what they're getting out of it, and it was one of those things that kept me at a distance from understanding how people are navigating the situation. Overall, this is really solid. I mean, I often have a lot of bone to pick with horror movies. I don't even know if I can think of any horror movie, even the ones that I really like, that I don't have problems with. So in terms of where I usually fall in horror movies, this is actually really good, and I would give this a strong recommendation. I'm gonna go with a 7 out of 10.
I would also give this a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Who will you invite to your house to see this with you?